think it's only fitting to start this episode off just with a big, deep sigh, because, oh man.
Oh, you are teeing this up so good. Enzo, to me, looks like a more agile, basically a young Chess Fabregas.
It's a Rolls Royce, man. Gotta sell it.
Messi is the Jorginho of international football. That was a dumb take.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to another episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast. Well, little pre-Turkey Day action for us here on international break. We got a full house tonight. You got me, Andy. You got Parker. We got Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good. Busy weekend. Just doing a lot of stuff around the house. Had my niece's first birthday party yesterday, so that was fun. So went over to my brother and sister-in-law's house and just kind of hung out there and let the kiddos kind of play. And Miles got the crap kicked out of him by his female cousin, so that was fun. But no, all was good. Yeah, it was a good time. And then today just getting after it with my dad and doing some more work on the basement as we're kind of gearing up for the last big event of the basement, which is putting in the flooring. So we're making progress there to get some stuff finished up. So we got that squared away, but yeah, just busy weekend. I got some beautiful weather, so I was outside doing some stuff and trying to clean out the garage, my favorite pastime. So yeah, all in all, pretty positive. Can't complain too much. Parks, how was your weekend?
Yeah, weekend was good. I mean, you said beautiful weather. We had beautiful weather here in Colorado as well, and it's just like I can get used to this. I hope it stays this beautiful throughout the winter. I know it's going to get colder at some point, but you know, when it's 45, 50 degrees on a Saturday, Sunday, it's just always nice to get out and be active. But my parents were in town, which is always cool. First time they were at the house out here, and just came in on a Friday, out on a Sunday. So pretty quick trip for them to come in, but always good to see fam guys. It's always a treat. But the tour day, our house is now officially over. We've hosted my parents, Carolyn's parents, and all of my siblings. So we're done for the year, and I'm really freaking ready to just have a 4-day weekend where it's just Carolyn and I. I'm cooking a shit ton of food. I'm making pastrami on the smoker and all kinds of other food to go along with it. And I'm just excited to be in my own house with not anyone else around. So I feel like I can finally take a deep breath, just be like, get through the work week. It's a short work week. And then just have a couple of days to enjoy relaxing. A lot of sports on. You got the Packers Lions game on Turkey Day to look forward to, and then Chelsea to look forward to on Saturday. And it feels like it's been an eternity since we played City. We had all of this like build up and all of this hype and phenomenal match to watch, and then it's like, you know, the Travolta meme where he's just looking around. So I'm excited to get back to watching some footy. But overall, great weekend. Glad to be here on a Sunday night. Collins, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. My weekend was full of nothing, which was wonderful. It's one of the few international breaks where it's like, all right, I just need to relax. But just a couple quick questions for you guys. Matt, number one, when are we having the live show in your basement when it's all done?
To be determined. Depends on how all the flooring goes. And then I guess my next order of business will be building a bar. So we'll see how long that takes. But soon enough, we can definitely do a live episode here.
Parker, I decided I'm gonna make the quick drive from Kansas City to Denver this weekend. I'm gonna pick up some of that pastrami. So just set some aside, please.
You got it, boss. Take as much as you can fit in your car.
All right, well, boys, not a lot to talk about this week, and clearly in the media, there's also not a lot to talk about. I turned on the radio. Oh gosh, I'm driving to Chicago one of the 4 days I did last week. People are talking about it's whenever Everton got their points deduction. I know I said to you guys pre-pod and we're not going there, but we're going there right now. A lot of people calling for Chelsea to be relegated along with Manchester City for FFP breaches. In Chelsea's case, alleged FFP breaches. So let's say that does happen. Where do we go as a football club?
The flag goes to the championship. I think that's where we go. I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about relegation, but we have on this pod discussed the possibility of Chelsea not existing as a club. So we've been to darker times, boys. We've been discussing things like unfathomables that you wouldn't even kind of consider as possibilities that could potentially be reality. I hope it doesn't come to fruition, obviously. The relegation would be horrendous. Just figuring out how to watch matches on a week-to-week basis, and we've talked about coverage of the Premier League versus other leagues, just how spoiled we are as Premier League fans that we can have the coverage that we have. So I think that just means we have to go to London more as a group collectively, that we just need to like have a residency there for a bit. So not all bad, right?
I have questions, and specifically for the two of you, because you guys are probably more in the weeds on this than I am. So I've seen some of like the things that we're looking into, like stuff with like one of Conte's associates or something like that. The was it Eto and Willian signings? Was FFP even in place at that time?
It wasn't, but I think it's not so much an FFP it's like the Premier League profitability and sustainability something. And I think they can backdate that because they're talking about Abramovich paying players with offshore accounts, which has never been okay. We've heard countless times of players like Willian or John Obi Mikel or whatever, where like their brother or their dad all of a sudden is named a scout and gets just a crazy wage for doing that. There's allegations there, and I think because it's not UEFA, because it's not FFP, like you got to keep in mind that it's the football league coming after us. It's the FA, not UEFA. So it's a different set of rules, and one that honestly I think a lot of people who talk about it, including us, are not super familiar with.
Fair. I still, it kind of seems like we're a mafia, right? Like, and now we're getting hit with like a RICO case. That's kind of what it feels like. Like this is all stuff that was done post, or this was stuff that was found out post takeover, right? Like we are doing our due diligence, cleaning up books, all that stuff. We already know the offloading we did to stay within the balance of the new FFP rules. How can you fault the new regime and the club when this is all based on the previous owner who was no longer associated with the club at all? It seems like you're trying to punish the wrong person, and I don't know if that's going to make the right point. So I have a hard time kind of agreeing if they were to slap like a points deduction or something. It's nothing that anybody at the club now had any knowledge of or was a part of, and we're doing everything we can to like self-report, right? Like, hey, we were going through this doesn't look right, like here's everything. So we're doing everything right in the way that we're looking at this, or the way that this whole investigation is shaking out. We're doing all the right things. I think it's very hard to punish the new regime, the new Chelsea, for stuff that happened in the past.
And keep in mind, it's a new regime that this very same FA required, like, to purchase the club from the old regime. So there's some weird complicity and conflict of interest involved in there, considering the FA hasn't even dispersed the funds that were supposed to be going to Ukraine from the sale as of yet, and we're 2 years on now. Yeah, it's it's the FA.
I think it sends the wrong message too. Just trying to, punish the club. I mean, the point that they could try to make, I guess, is you punish the club, you punish it where it hurts. If you assess a fine, that's not what punishes the club, really. It doesn't really hit us where it hurts. What would be the biggest crippling effect would be to relegate us. And that would be, the message, right? That what was done isn't okay. I hope, though, we're able to make that argument, that literally separation of what happened then versus who we are now as a club. There's almost a death and rebirth kind of a separation with who Chelsea is today. City does not have that luxury. They have the same ownership as when those allegations came through. What'll be really interesting is, I mean, you can split hairs and say who's a more powerful ownership, this City Group or the Abramovich era. But City's owners are powerful individuals. It'll be interesting to see how they fight this and how they can get around it, if they can get around it.
Well, I think we're already seeing some of that, and two different approaches to it. Boley and Blue Co have self-reported, right? They're the ones who found the irregularities. They reported it to the FA. And keep in mind, again, separation here. Those are allegations that have been just written about in an article by The Guardian. City, those are charges. Those have already been investigated and confirmed. But City fought every step of the way. They did not assist in the investigation. They withheld any information that they could. Wouldn't allow the FA to come in and look at the books and all that. And so you're seeing two different approaches here. And honestly, the amount of breaches is pretty similar between the two. But City's going to get the brunt of it. And we see this here in America in the NCAA all the time, especially NCAA football, where it's, we had recruiting violations, and we'll self-report it. We'll hold ourselves out of a bowl game this year. And then you've got other schools like Michigan right now with other things and not self-reporting. And now their coach is suspended for the whole season, and they're talking about just completely leaving the league altogether, right? So this is definitely one of those ones where your mom tells you when you're really young, hey, I'm not going to be as mad if you just tell me the truth. Like, I'm always going to be more mad if you lie to me. And I feel like the same thing is going on here. And so I give Todd Boley and company props for self-reporting this instead of trying to cover it up.
And like I was talking to you guys like pre-pod, like this sounds very much like my day-to-day job. It really does. Where we have to deal with government bodies and making sure we adhere to their standards and something. And if something doesn't look right, take a look at it and then be like, hey, I think we might have an issue. And then, things go from there. So I get it. It just seems like we're doing the right thing. It also seems a little bit mafia-ish, like, okay, we'll take a slap on the wrist, but kind of whatever. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out.
The only thing I hope to God is that Anthony Taylor is not conducting this investigation against us.
We'll take away
Don't
our
think that would
points and
work.
give them to City.
I think we'd be
and
screwed,
and
guys.
and give red cards and use a ridiculous amount of time on VAR. I wonder if they're using VAR to review everything that Roman did.
Then we have a shot, right? No, the I guess my last point on all this is that, and we had some great back and forth this week on social media with Scott and Hector of the Milwaukee Blues. It seems like we have real quickly gone from the laughing stock in terms of the whole sale and transfer and all that, to then people just being sad for us, right, and also mocking us under Graham Potter. And now we have like two good results, right? We smash Spurs, 9-man Spurs, and then we go toe to toe with the treble winners in a 4-4 match. And now all of a sudden we're starting to hear they spent $1 billion. Oh, like we're back to being the villains, and that is Chelsea's rightful place in the Premier League, and I'm here for it. I love it.
It fits into the narrative.
I love the money conversation all the time. If Leicester was the odd man out when they won the Premier League, you have to buy good talent. It's the only way to do it. And you think about a movie like Moneyball, right? Like you try and do stuff like that. I get it. It makes sense if it works. Otherwise, you're just building a shit team.
And if it doesn't, then you move your team to Las Vegas.
Correct.
That's the moral of that movie.
That's the moral of any sporting team in the Oakland area.
Dude, it fits our narrative so well right now. It's the shithousery came out in those matches. People hate to see it. People hate to see us win. And it's funny because my pops was in town. We were talking about NFL and whatnot, and talking about the Bears and how the Bears are almost beating the Lions today, and the Lions come back and beat them and come back and win, and just how it doesn't matter what the Bears bring to the table. The Packers always have the Bears number. Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears forever, for his entire career. And that same relationship. So I explained to him the Tottenham Chelsea relationship of having little brother and just having your thumb just over the top of them, just saying like, you stay down there. And I love being hated in that sense. Brings me back to the Oshkosh volleyball days. Just, we were villains. We won, and we didn't really care who knew about it. So it's fun, and it's amazing how quickly people turn to hate us. It's not like we won 7 matches in a row. It's not like we're top 4. We're still 10th, guys. We're still sitting in 10th place, and people still fucking hate us, and it's kind of great. So let them hate. We'll keep doing what we're doing, and we're still in the process. We're still figuring stuff out, but I think people are starting to get scared. I think that's what that means. And I said this to you guys last week. People don't want to play us right now. People don't really want to go up against us. They saw what we did with City, saw what we did to Tottenham. We might be in 10th, but you still don't want to play us. You still got to go through us.
And at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to relegate 2 of the biggest money makers for the league internationally. But in the off chance that Chelsea get relegated, I have to ask, looking at the championship this year, what club, what team are you most looking forward to Chelsea playing next year in the second division? Because I look through this list, and it's literally all teams from my formative soccer years that were in the Premier League at the time. There are some matchups here that I would really look forward to.
I have a bit of a cop-out answer, but as a as a fan of the movie Green Street Hooligans, I have to say Millwall.
I was gonna
And
say
they're
the exact same thing.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Colin's like there are a lot of matchups on here that I have seen play out, and I would like to see again. But the Millwall one, on the odd chance that they met in the FA Cup, Millwall's been down for a while, so they really haven't. In my time as a fan, I haven't really seen Chelsea ever play against them. So that'd be a fun one. And they're a rowdy bunch over there.
I'll go with my backup, which is QPR, because I think Joey Barton is still playing there. So I would just like to see that matchup again.
Yeah, Millwall and QPR were mine, or my two. Just because of the history between the clubs, and Parker, like you said, we haven't seen Millwall in a long time. Oh man, so now I gotta go outside the outside the box. I'm gonna go Norwich. It's always good seeing Norwich. That's always a team we smash. Just need Mason Mount back in the squad when we go down to the championship.
I think another good one would be Ipswich, because I think they've been in the like the championship of the championship for like 2 or 3 seasons. So they've been like really close. So I think that would be a fun one to see.
Home of current loanee Omari Hutchinson. How great would it be for them to get promoted and us to be relegated? Well, speaking of loanees, that's been the other kind of issue this week at Chelsea. Really, the only other big issue I would say, and that's we haven't really nailed the loan army this year. A lot of players in situations that are not great for their development. And so a lot of talk of, well, who do we recall in January? Who's available to be recalled? Where should we be sending these players otherwise? Omari Hutchinson's not one of them. He is doing fantastic for Ipswich. We've got a handful of other players out there who are either riding the struggle bus or that team is driving the struggle bus. So as you look towards January, is there anybody that you recall and either add to the squad or loan out again?
The only one I want we can't have, which is Lewis Hall, and that it's the one that pisses me off the most, because I wish it was just a straight up loan deal with no obligation to buy, because if it was still somewhat fluid, I mean, that deal is all but done now. If he was still our player for all intents and purposes, then I think he actually could play a lot. I mean, left back is an area that we've had injury concerns at and rotation at. And I know our boy Mark Cucurella has had a resurgence and has played a lot of left back. But I mean, looking forward to the future, I think Lewis Hall would get a really good crack at that position. And I mean, Malo Gusto has impressed even with Reece James playing well and with injuries and a lot of stuff in rotation. I think Lewis Hall, he's the one on the list that I look at that makes the most sense to bring back. Everyone else, for different reasons, just doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy decision is Andre Santos, just because he's not playing at Nottingham Forest, which is surprising to me because they rotate a lot. And to not see him like really even get a chance to get out there is disheartening. Brings me back to Billy G at Norwich when he was on loan there, and he couldn't play. And the coach at the time, I forgot who it was, but basically said, like, we're not here, like, I'm not going to waste my time developing players for a different team, which I don't hate that argument. Like, it makes sense. Like, the people that are here at the club, like, I'm going to focus on them and not the people that are on loan for a year and then going back to their other club. Like, I kind of get it. It doesn't bother me all that much, but at the same time, like, that's part of doing this stuff for loans, is to develop these younger players. And usually these younger players have slightly less, the same, or in some cases more talent than what the current team has. So the playing field is still plenty even there. But I think if it's not the right situation for the player, you've had 6 months, bring him back, see if you can loan him somewhere else, or just get him included in the practice squad and have him training with the first team on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I don't mind that one. Yeah, I guess I hate to go negative on this one because there are a lot of negatives. So I kind of want to switch it up here, but the only player who has really been doing well, there's been a couple players doing well, but the real surprise is Angelo at Strasbourg. And I know that we own Strasbourg, and so that it makes it a lot easier. But we don't have a lot of depth at the wing right now. It's Sterling, Palmer, Mudryk, and Madueke. And Madueke seems to be on the shit list, right? So, why not bring him in? And we saw in preseason that he gives a completely different look than the rest of this team, especially on the wing. So maybe, reward a good half year. My only other thought, speaking of Strasbourg, would be to recall somebody, man, I don't know, like a Mason Burstow, who's currently at Sunderland, hasn't scored. He's been playing a decent amount. I think he's got like 9 or 10 games under his belt. But Strasbourg's been struggling to score goals this year. And so, sending them a forward, I'm looking at who they have. And, like I said, with the championship, it's a bunch of guys who are like, oh man, I remember that guy. It's Kevin Gamiero is their striker. They got Emmanuel Emmaga as their other striker. They've Habib Diallo is another one. It's all just guys that like I remember from FIFA 15, FIFA 14, like all this stuff. But send Burstow in there. Maybe he changes the dynamic there at Strasbourg. Maybe he thrives in France and gets a little confidence.
The one I want to be able to say, but I can't, Collins, is I want to say Gaga Slovenia, but I looked up his stats and he's played like, I don't know, 12 games or so. Let's see. 12 appearances. He's conceded 28 goals. He's had 1 clean sheet. So not great.
Solid.
Very MLS-y.
Right.
Are they in the I know he's in Belgium. Is he in the Belgian first division or like what? I've never heard of this club he's at.
He's the Jupiter Pro League.
Oh yeah, for first division in Belgium.
Pro League, yeah.
Well, good for him. Real character builder there.
Yeah.
You can only go up, right?
And then I have to bring it up. I just have to, because goals have been an issue. I'm sorry. I have to at least ask the question because Collins isn't allowed to ask the questions. Do you bring back Rom? Do you bring back the poison into the team? Is there any benefit to doing so?
Collins, go ahead.
For my own personal narrative, yes, Rom Redemption Tour 2024. But we seem to have, Matt, you're going to appreciate this as well. We have vibes. We got good chemistry. There seems to be good link-up play between everybody going on. Nicholas Jackson is 5th in the league in goals right now, which is something that we haven't even sniffed in the last couple of years. Armando Broya is still getting back to full health. Mason Burstow is there in the championship. No, leave Rom where he is. Let him increase that sale value.
Just no.
It's I mean, the slightest bit alluring just because he is scoring again, but I totally agree with you, Collins. I think what we're doing right now is sending more of a message into like, this is how we want to run our team. This is the style of play we want to play with. The guys that we have are buying into said style and they like each other. And that's, I think, what they do. You can tell they do. It seems like they get along. And I don't think it's worth the sacrifice for goals. Even if he were to score goals, even if he were to come in January and score a bunch, but he poisons the team, I don't think it's worth it because we're not winning the league this year. We're not in contention for that. So,
oh, we're getting relegated.
You're right. Even worse, score a bunch of goals, piss everyone off, and we get relegated. Fucking sweet.
I would say no for that particular reason. Like, we cut out all the cancer this summer. We got rid of everything, all the dead weight, all the people that didn't want to be here. We know Rom doesn't want to be at Chelsea, so why bring him back? Why give him even a glimmer of an opportunity to think that he will be in a Chelsea kit again once more? No. I don't give a shit if he's scoring in Italy. He scored a bunch in Italy, and then we bought him as our fourth option for striker, mind you. And then he just shot himself in the foot repeatedly. And then we sent him back to Italy. Hey, he's scoring again. Fan-fucking-tastic. Do not care. Get the fuck out.
Choking on a Sour Patch Kid there. Sorry.
Yeah, it's super fair. I felt like I at least had to ask the question while we're talking about loan. He's the most successful loanee that we have at the ripe old age of 30, 31 years old or whatever the hell he is.
Working with Mourinho. All right. Well, loans aren't the only transfer business we can do, right? January is fastly approaching. God, I didn't even realize until like Thursday of this week that Thanksgiving was this upcoming week. But hey, we're 5 weeks from the transfer window opening again. And assuming the FA doesn't say, nah, we're going to slap a transfer ban on you. What do you do in January?
Well, what do we
Get
need?
A
Keeper, striker. Collins, you're shaking your head. No. What do you get? Well, what's your top priority?
Well, keeper, no. Striker, I don't mind. Rom Redemption Tour. But no, Parker, go on. What do you think?
Well, I liked what you said about wingers. I think wingers could add some depth to that. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with our wingers once when Kunku comes back. But because I think he's going to play more central. I think that pushes Cole more to the wing and Sterling on a wing and Mudryk on a wing and Noni on a wing. So and Lavia somewhere and all of that too, right? Like we got a lot there. We don't have a lot of true goal scorers. I think our biggest weaknesses today are striker, left back, goalie. If I was looking at anywhere that I would want to upgrade, it's those three positions. A lot of chatter about the striker position, a lot of chatter about the best player in the world, wears number 10, plays for France.
Olivier Giroud?
That's 9. I still wish. I would still sign him today. Why not? He's still scoring.
So I'm saying keeper for 2 reasons. A, to piss off Collins, and B, I think you need to bring in somebody who may not be better than Sanchez, but somebody that can compete with Sanchez. So somebody like Petrovic, he's not at a level where he's going to be able to compete with Sanchez to earn that spot. he's just not there. He's young. I think it's kind of like what we say, like iron sharpens iron. I think if you get somebody in there who is at or near the same level as a Robert Sanchez, then it's better essentially for both players, because then they're pushing each other to get better and better. Right now I'm hoping that would mean improvements for Bobby Sanchez. He's been doing pretty good this season. We've talked about the things that we want cleaned up, but I think just sometimes having somebody where you have to look over your shoulder and be like, oh, this guy could take my spot. Like usually that will do one of two things: either they'll completely break down or they become even better. I'm hoping in the case that it's the latter, but I do think that he's very comfortable right now. He knows that nobody can really take over that number one keeper position from him. I think bringing in somebody around the same level as him would be a benefit, just as for Sanchez, for whoever we bring in, and for the club as a whole. So Collins, I'm not saying replace Bobby Sanchez. I'm saying just bring somebody in that can, kind of maybe help elevate Bobby Sanchez. That's all.
My issue with my other issue with the goalkeeper thing, you guys know how I feel about Bobby Sanchez. But if you're going to bring in someone who is at his level, how many keepers do you need on the books? We have Bettinelli, Slonina, Jamie Cumming, Petrovic. We have Zach Burge. We have Robert Sanchez. That's 6 already. Now you want to bring in a 7th who's at the same level as your starting keeper. I don't think we're going to bring in a keeper in January, because it's like a quarterback. You don't trade a quarterback at the trade deadline. You got to learn a whole new system that just like it messes with the vibe. I could see us going out and getting Aaron Ramsdale in summer, but we're not going to get anybody of significance in January between the sticks. I mean, unless we're going back and getting another backup from Brighton, but they're leaking goals more than we do. So I think striker has to be priority number 1. Defensively, I think we're pretty set. Parker, like you said, maybe a left back, but you got Ian Maatson, so you got to kind of decide what you want to do with him. Midfield, we are more than stocked. Where do you play Lavia? Where do you play Nkunku? Where do you play Conor Gallagher? Where do you play Cole Palmer? That's all out there. Striker, you have Nico Jackson and you have Broya, who's clearly not up to fitness yet. So you need to go get somebody there, preferably Kylian Mbappe. And I think you honestly have to jump on that before it turns into a bidding war. We have seen what bidding wars look like with Liverpool in terms of Caicedo. I don't want to be drawn into that again. Real Madrid is out. Strike while the iron's hot here. Give him whatever he wants. Make him give him ownership in the club. Something. Give him a per goal bonus more than the anticipated amount. Something. But Parker, you said it best to me at the wedding last week, and that was, this would be the biggest signing Chelsea have ever made. And it's true. I can't think of another one outside of Fernando Torres who would be a bigger signing than Kylian Mbappe. I don't want Osimhen. I think he's got his issues, and we know how Italian strikers from Italy are. Ivan Toney, I'm not convinced on. I think he would be a good squad piece, but I don't think he's the savior as number 9. So go out and get the bona fide number 1, even if it has to be a sign in January and he comes in July 1st.
I can't even fathom what would happen, and I can't even fathom the amount we would have to pay. So is his contract up? Is Mbappe's contract done? I don't remember the situation. So I mean, that would be on a free, right? Like, and I know that a lot of what was happening was they were trying to structure deals, um, so that Real Madrid was able to recoup, or I'm sorry, PSG was able to get fees for it. So I mean, is he walking on a free?
August 31st, he signed a new deal through 2026.
Okay, so we would be paying a transfer fee. I can't fathom what that transfer fee is. It has to be over 200, right? Like there's just no physically possible way it's under that. So it's going to break every record. It's going to be the most insane thing. His salary could just be ownership, like you said, Collins. It could be something insane. I'm gonna throw out a name to you guys though, completely shifting gears here. What do you guys think about Alphonso Davies?
Erratic, but he's fun. I mean, you think about a combination of him and Mudryk on the left is so much fun. But it's I don't know, his play is just a little bit erratic. So I wouldn't mind it, but I wouldn't. But I think the thought of it is better than the reality of it.
Yeah, I like what Cucurella has been doing. I wouldn't unseat Cucurella. That'd be another one where maybe I go back in summer to go get him, but I wouldn't make that a January move.
I'm gonna throw something at both of you. I don't think we should sign striker in January at all. For the same reason that we talked about with not wanting Rom back, like
because we're getting relegated.
Sure. So you don't want to. We talked about how tight knit this group is and how they look and how they're playing together. Strikers are going to be very expensive in January. I think we all know that. Why do we want to try and bring in a big name in the middle of the year when it seems like we've hit this turning point where things are starting to click, right? We talked about the last two matches. Things are starting to click a little bit, right? I don't see a need for us to go get another striker in January. We have Nkunku coming back who can play as the striker. That gives you essentially three. So I think you're fine there. I think we stick with the group that we have. If we do sign anybody in January, I don't see them being like somebody who slots in right away. I don't. I think they would be more of like a role player, or a squad rotation player. I feel like those are the kind of moves that we'll make in January. I don't think we go out and get a big name. And quite frankly, I really would not want to see us go out and get a striker just because we've been burned on it so many times. I would prefer to stay away from that and just keep who we have and what we have.
I respect that. It's fair.
Yeah, I understand that as well, but Kylian Mbappe, a goal every 97 minutes.
In the French league.
Or internationally.
Where does Chelsea do its best scouting? Where do our best transfers come from?
Over the last 2 seasons, France.
No, literally in the Premier League era, France.
So, which I'm okay with that. My thing is you have a crew of young players. A lot of them don't have the price tag or the ego that Kylian Mbappe has. You're talking about a lot of guys who are, hungry, fighting for their spot. Well, if you bring in Kylian Mbappe, then what does that do? What would be the shift in that locker room? I don't see it being positive, but maybe I'm just looking at it from a very negative lens. I just don't. The first thing that comes to my mind is it's going to like all of the baggage. And I'm saying baggage is like all the media, all the press, all that other shit. Like it wouldn't be about the team anymore. It would be about Mbappe and only him. So you would lose a lot of the focus that you have on the group and shift it only to one player. And I think that is detrimental when you're starting a rebuild and things are starting to trend in a positive direction.
I hear you, and I think you could be completely right. It could blow up what we've been trying to build. Positive of bringing him in is you get a guy to take all of the media attention away from everyone else. No longer do you talk about Enzo's price tag. No longer do you talk about Mudrik's price tag. No longer do you talk about Caicedo, because everyone just talks about Mbappe now. And so they're all a group of young, expensive players. I mean, collectively, we have a young, expensive team. And so Mbappe is kind of the king of the young, expensive. And he could be the leader of our young, expensive group. I think he's one of the most prolific young talents the sport's ever seen. You can compare him to Messi and Ronaldo, and you see how generational those two guys have been. And we've never been close to signing either of those guys ever. And Chelsea was never in the discussion to sign Ronaldo, never in the discussion to sign Messi. And so, like, the fact that we're on a short list right now, and the fact that we have a shit ton of French players that Mbappe's used to at least seeing and playing with, it makes it feel like it actually could happen, which is just kind of crazy to me. It's hard not to like get excited by the allure of him.
Yeah, we have 6 out of the top 50 most expensive transfers ever on the books right now at Chelsea. You have a $70 million backup winger. You have the world's second most expensive center back.
Goalie.
Yeah. You've got the world's most expensive keeper on the books out on loan. You've got 2 British transfer record midfielders. I don't think having a price tag on you is bad. And like Parker said, it's somebody to draw away focus. That's what Jose Mourinho always did. It's something that he thrives with. He takes the focus away from the team so that they can just go and do their thing. Having that might not be a bad thing. Now, would Kylian Mbappe want to play in the championship? That's another question.
I have to slap an extra hundo on that price tag.
Can you imagine?
Kylian Mbappe playing on a Tuesday night in Stoke.
Cold night in Stoke. That's good.
I will let you guys have that dream. I am not for it, but I will let you guys have that dream.
Well, I've already got the song picked up for when we sign him that I'm just going to play at the beginning of the episode. So we're good.
I'll look forward to that one.
Oh, by the way, we also had the world's most expensive player from CONCACAF on the books. That was Christian Pulisic. Huh. Fun stuff.
Speaking of Pulisic, just a real fun quick tidbit, because my dad knows jack shit about soccer. The two people he asks about is like, hey, whatever happened to that Freddie Adu guy? And and then what about that other American that everyone always talks about? Every time. Shout out to Dave.
Collins, as soon as you brought up the most expensive player in CONCACAF, I was waiting for you to go with the most expensive player to come out of Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh, that was Mr. Hershey himself.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, before we close this out, I have been snacking on my son's Halloween candy because we just need to get it gone. And while we were potting, I'm just showing the guys here. Yeah, a Sour Patch Kid with a giant tumor.
Diabetes.
Sick.
Yeah, not touching that one. I'll edit that out.
awesome.
All right. Well, boys, we're not near the hour mark, but I don't really have much else to talk about. Do you guys have anything else to talk about? All right. What, Matt, what's our closing thought for this week that I won't remember?
Closing thought for this week. Fuck international break. Give us the Premier League.
I like it. All right. Well, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. At this point, we're on Spotify, but if you're on Apple, hey, make sure to give us a rating on there. We like them. Follow us on social media. Be followed on X, Instagram, all that good stuff. At Flag Down Pod. No polls this week, but make sure to vote in our polls, man of the match and man of the get the fuck out of here. Those are going to be on X after every match. Boys, it's been a hell of a pod, hell of an international break so far. And with Thanksgiving coming up, I'm thankful for the two of you and for everybody who listens in to us here. Matt, I forgot what your closing thought was already. So fuck the international break and bring back the championship.
Cheers, boys.